Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Hello, and welcome back to the Fertility Dietitian podcast. Today, we're talking about habits that might be aging your ovaries faster. And before we get into those habits, I want you to hear this first. Your egg quality is not fixed. Yes, age matters. We're not pretending that biology doesn't exist, but age is only one piece of the story. Your eggs are incredibly responsive to the environment that they are being nourished in. I have seen women dramatically improve egg quality markers by drastic improvements in progesterone, luteal phases strengthening, IVF outcomes dramatically improving. And I have seen women get pregnant after 5, 6, and 7 years of never once seeing a positive pregnancy test. All of these signs and symptoms scream improvements in egg quality, not because of anything magic, not because they just relaxed, but because we actually changed the environment that their eggs were developing in, and that matters big time. Your ovaries are constantly responding to signals from the gut, your blood sugar and insulin signaling, your stress response, your nutrient status, even your inflammation levels and your sleep, including your circadian rhythm, your toxic load, and your overall sense of safety and energy availability. So today I want to walk you through a few habits I see all the time that may be actually aging your ovaries faster than they should be aging. And the good news is that these are things you can change. They are controllable. So let's get into it. First up, and this one might be a little bit surprising, but not eating enough fiber. It's massively overlooked in fertility. Most women trying to get pregnant are focused on protein and supplements, maybe cutting things out of their diet, but they are eating nowhere near enough fiber to support a healthy gut microbiome. And your gut microbiome has a huge influence on ovarian health. Your gut bacteria produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, and these are incredibly important signaling molecules that actually help regulate inflammation, balance the immune system, support insulin sensitivity, and even ovarian function. Short-chain fatty acids help create an environment that protect the ovaries. When your microbiome is depleted, inflamed, or underfed, you lose some of those protective signals. And this is one of the reasons I care so deeply about food variety, not just healthy eggs. I'm talking about beans and lentils and berries, kiwi, root veggies like your carrots, apples, oats, ground flax, and chia seeds, super helpful for reaching those fiber goals. Cooked and cooled potatoes or rice gives you a different type of fiber called resistant starch. Nuts and seeds, colorful vegetables, although keep in mind, like our dark leafy greens, fantastic nutrient profile for us, are actually really low in fiber. You're getting more fibers from your cruciferous veggies than your kind of leafy greens. Both are important, but for different reasons. Your gut bacteria thrives on diversity. And when your gut thrives, your hormones, your immune system, and your ovaries benefit too. So think about this. Here's a practical goal. Most women should be aiming for at least 30 grams of fiber a day. And if you're currently eating very little fiber, on average, most of us start around, if you're eating the standard American diet, it's like less than 15 grams of fiber a day. So less than half of what we should be getting. So if you're there or starting lower than 30, do not jump dramatically or quickly, you won't be very happy. If you're starting at 10 grams, don't jump to 40 grams overnight. Your gut is going to hate you. Motility will change drastically. So you want to increase slowly while increasing hydration and making sure that you are also moving. Exercise, walking is also really helpful for the fiber increasing stages. So focus on variety of fiber-rich foods over kind of perfection. All right, the next habit we want to talk about is falling asleep the second your head hits the pillow. I know people love to brag about this. I'm just asleep as soon as I hit the pillow, right? But fast sleep onset actually can be a sign of sleep deprivation or poor sleep quality. Your body's essentially crashing, and sleep matters deeply for egg quality. Your ovaries are highly metabolic tissues. Egg maturation requires an enormous amount of energy production inside the mitochondria, and sleep is one of the primary times your body repairs, detoxifies, regulates hormones, and restores mitochondrial function. So poor sleep increases oxidative stress. It disrupts blood sugar regulation, it impacts cortisol rhythms, and it alters reproductive hormone signaling. Your ovaries notice all of that, which brings me to the next point: sleeping less than 7 hours. Women sleeping under 7 hours have been shown to have lower AMH levels compared to women sleeping 7 to 8 hours. Some women thrive on 8 to 9 hours. One study actually found the AMH levels were about 22% lower. Now, does that mean that one bad week of sleep destroys your fertility? No. And just a note on AMH. AMH has no correlation with natural conception, but it does give us insight to how safe your body is feeling, and how much energy it has to support follicle maturation. Okay. So 1 week of bad sleep is not going to destroy your fertility. No, but chronic sleep deprivation absolutely creates a physiological environment that is less supportive of ovarian function. And this is especially important for the high achieving women listening to this who are running on caffeine, productivity, stress, and survival mode. Your body does not prioritize reproduction when it feels depleted. Reproduction is expensive from a metabolic standpoint. It needs a lot of energy. And your brain is constantly asking, do we have enough energy and resources to support this safely, support fertility in a safe way? And if the answer is no, your body will downshift reproductive function to conserve energy and really keep you alive, especially if you're constantly in that fight or flight mode. So if you are trying to improve egg quality, one of the most powerful things you can do is to protect your sleep. Sleep like it's your job, because it matters. It really does. A few practical things here. Get morning sunlight within 30 minutes of waking. Even 2 minutes makes a difference. Even if it's only staring out the window, it's going to make a difference. Reduce bright light exposure at night. As it's getting dark outside, it should be getting dark inside. Ditch the screens. Eat enough during the day and try to keep a consistent sleep schedule. Also, avoiding intense exercise late at night if your sleep is suffering, and stop treating sleep like it's optional, because it's absolutely not for fertility, not for overall health or longevity either. So all of these tips are going to support that circadian rhythm and support you in improving your sleep quality. And of course, getting to bed early enough to get at least that 7 hours, ideally closer to that 8-hour time frame, is going to make a lot of difference too. Next, drinking out of plastic bottles every single day. Not what we want to be doing. We need to really talk about microplastics. I have a whole episode on this, so we will link that in the show notes. We know that they are no longer theoretical. Microplastics have been detected inside human follicular fluid, which is the fluid surrounding developing eggs inside the ovary. Think about that for a second. The environment surrounding the egg matters tremendously. And that follicular fluid delivers nutrients, hormones, antioxidants, and signals to the developing egg. Now we are finding plastic particles in that very environment. Many plastics also contain endocrine disrupting compounds that interfere with hormone signaling and increase oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is one of the biggest drivers of ovarian aging. Again, this is not about perfection. You do not need to throw away every plastic item you own and spiral into fear. But we do want to reduce daily exposure where it matters most. So think about these hopefully easy swaps. Using stainless steel or glass water bottles, avoiding heating food in plastic, reduce hot beverages in plastic lined cups. So take your reusable cup if you're getting coffee out. Choose glass food storage when possible and filter your water whenever you can. Prioritize filtered water. And small changes are going to really make a really big difference. Okay. I would also encourage you to swap out your undergarments. Okay. So plastics are also coming from our clothes. We absorb things through our skin. So, especially our panties and our bras. Okay. So, the panties would be a priority when we're talking about the ovaries, but breast health is important too, and definitely part of a reproductive system that we need to care about. Also, so natural fabrics only as undergarments is ideal. And if you need an area to prioritize when you use natural fabric undergarments, it's when you're sweating or when you're sleeping. Those are the areas I would prioritize as far as plastics, because it definitely gets into that environment we want to be shifting for improving egg quality. Next, chronically undereating carbohydrates is a terrible habit for so many reasons, but it actually makes a really big difference for egg quality. Also, okay, your ovaries need energy, not just calories, but usable energy. And chronically low carbohydrate intake increases cortisol and stress signaling while lowering the body's perception of safety and energy availability. Over time, this can suppress ovulation, lower progesterone, impact thyroid conversion, and increase oxidative stress around the ovaries. Carbs are important for thyroid health, leptin signaling, progesterone, sleep quality, nervous system regulation, glycogen storage for the brain and the ovaries. I see this all the time in women doing intermittent fasting, low carb diets, fasted workouts, coffee for breakfast routines, or just healthy eating, but unintentionally underfueling. Think of it like this. Your ovaries are not impressed by your willpower. They respond to nourishment and safety. Okay, so check in on that carb intake. You could very well just unintentionally be under eating carbs, and it could very well be impacting your egg quality as well, especially if you tend to live in a higher stress state or get poor sleep. Next, living in a constant state of stress without enough recovery or joy is another habit. I'm going to call it a habit that are aging your ovaries quicker. This goes way beyond stress causes infertility. Your nervous system directly influences your reproductive hormone signaling. When the brain perceives chronic stress, uncertainty, overwork, hypervigilance, or emotional depletion, it shifts resources away from reproduction and towards survival. Over time, this increases oxidative stress and inflammation, cortisol dysregulation, sleep disruption again, blood sugar instability, immune activation, and all of this impacts the ovarian environment. And many women that are trying to conceive are functioning in survival mode for years before they even get pregnant. So we can make this really actionable. Just think about safety signals for the body. How can we help your body feel safe? Things like morning sunlight again, creating deep, meaningful relationships, laughing, doing things that bring you joy, resting. Remember that rest is productive as well. Creating nourishing meals, walking outside, anything that you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve is also helpful, like humming or singing or grounding. Setting boundaries is a really important part of this also, and really being intentional about your time away from screens. Fertility is highly responsive to the environment, and the nervous system is constantly interpreting the environment. and communicating with the ovaries. So this habit matters. And lastly, high intensity exercise without enough fuel or recovery is absolutely impacting equality too. This is a huge one in the fertility world because many women trying to conceive are still approaching exercise from a fat loss mindset instead of a fertility mindset. Your ovaries are exquisitely sensitive to energy availability. And when your body perceives that energy output is consistently exceeding energy input, reproductive hormones are one of the first things to downshift. Why? Because from a survival standpoint, pregnancy during famine or extreme stress is not ideal. So your brain reduces signaling, which is the upstream signal that tells your ovaries what to do. This impacts ovulation and progesterone production. It impacts luteal phase health and egg maturation. It impacts cycle regularity. And I see this all the time in women doing HIIT classes, long endurance training, fasted workouts, Peloton every day, Orange Theory 5 to 6 times a week, or running on coffee and protein bars, all while under eating carbohydrates and not recovering properly. Movement is amazing for fertility. It really helps support insulin sensitivity, muscle mass, circulation, but your ovaries need adequate fuel and safety signals too, especially in the form of carbohydrates and minerals and recovery time. If your cycle is shortening, ovulation is delayed, progesterone is low, you're spotting before your period, maybe you're waking consistently at 3 a.m. and exhausted all of the time, or you just feel stressed constantly, your current exercise approach may not be helping your fertility the way you think it is. So sometimes supporting fertility looks less like pushing harder and more like creating safety, more nourishment, more recovery, more sunlight, more sleep, more minerals, more joy. Your body wants to work with you. And I really want you to leave this episode feeling hopeful because I know how easy it is to hear conversations around fertility and aging and immediately spiral into fear. But fear is not a strategy. Support is, action is, controlling the controllables is a strategy. Your eggs are not sitting there isolated from your environment. They are constantly responding to it. And while we cannot change our chronological age, we absolutely can influence the environment those eggs are developing in. That matters for natural conception. It also matters for IVF outcomes. It matters for progesterone production and embryo quality, and absolutely matters for pregnancy outcomes. Your fertility is responsive. If this episode resonated with you, send it to someone who needs a reminder that their body is not broken and there are still things they can do to support egg quality naturally. And if you're ready for personalized support, uncovering what may be standing in your way of your fertility, you please reach out and apply for the Master Your Fertility program. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.